on, Nintendo fans? And with the Nintendo Switch only a few short weeks away, I know I am just as stoked as you are. I have mine pre-ordered along with a couple of games pre-ordered, a Pro Controller. I was lucky enough to get them all pre-ordered. Cannot wait to get my hands on that. Like I said, just a few short weeks away. But with that said, there are only a few games that are at launch that I'm even interested in playing. Of course, you have Zelda is the biggest one. Bomberman R is another one that I'm pretty interested in. And then other than that, there's not a whole lot out there. There's 1-2 Switch, which I don't really feel like paying full retail price for. I feel like it should have been a pack-in game. Regardless, I'm probably not going to be picking that one up until it's very cheap. There's not really that many. There's a couple of DLC games as well. I believe ARMS is supposed to be coming out at launch. And those games aren't really things I'm going to be interested in. I'm going to have to be waiting until later to get Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon 2 over the summer, and of course Mario Odyssey later in December. But those are the games I'm looking forward to playing. But these, today, I wanted to bring to you 10 games that I think should find their way onto the Switch at least sometime in the Switch's life cycle. Whether it be, you know, a new game in the series, or a reboot, or just a plain on remake. I feel like these games are games that should make their way onto the system at some point. Starting out is a classic series, and that is Super Monkey Ball. Now, this game is geared perfectly for something like the Switch. Think about portability. You think about all the gyroscopes that are in the little tablet. Being able to move your character with the tablet is something that's so cool. I don't think they made a Wii U game for this. I know they made Wii games for this with the Wiimotes, and it was okay. It wasn't as good as controlling with the GameCube controller, in my opinion. I think one maybe one Banana Blitz, and then there's one that uses the Wii Fit board, and they kind of gave up on the series because they didn't sell very well because they were gimmicky. But if I could use a Pro Controller, or if I could use the gyroscope controllers on the new pad for a game like Super Monkey Ball, I feel like it'd be awesome. If you put in online capabilities, races, battle modes, this could be a smash hit. This could be something that's very cool, and I would love to see Super Monkey Ball make a return. Now, another game series that I would love to see on the Switch, is one of my all-time favorites on the GameCube and the PS2, is the SSX series, which is a snowboarding series. If you're unfamiliar, this is SSX Tricky, which is actually the second game in the series. There's been a few more on the 360 and PS3 and stuff like that. But this is an over-the-top, big tricks, you know, more of an arcade-style snowboarding game. And I would love to see this series return to Nintendo systems. I don't believe it was on Wii U. There might have been one. I think it was Downhill Tour, I think it was called, on the Wii. Didn't like that one that much. But if they went back to this style, with online modes, with competitive modes, with just over-the-top tricks, huge air, very cool series. I feel like this style of game would also do well. It's a game that it would be cool to have in the car, on the go, but also be sit down and you can actually sit down and play this as well. It would be very cool to see SSX Tricky 2. I guess that would be what I want. Of course, you can't have a list like this and not mention something we haven't gotten in a while, and that is a Metroid Prime game. Now, we haven't seen one since Metroid Prime 3 Corruptions. We got the Trilogy Collection on the Wii. We didn't get any Metroid games on the Wii U. I think the last Metroid game we got was the Metroid Federation Force on the 3DS, and it really wasn't really a Metroid game at all. It's been a while since we've got a main series entry into the Metroid series, and whether it be a first-person shooter like the Metroid Prime games, or whether they go back to like a Super Metroid or a 2D platformer game, either way, I feel like it's time for a new Metroid game, and it would be very well received on the Switch. Obviously, anything Metroid is basically worth its weight in gold, and it would sell like crazy. So whether it be Metroid Prime 4, or whether it be, you know, a remake or something like that of the 2D game, or a brand new 2D adventure, either way, we need more Metroid, and the Switch needs a Metroid game. Now, next up is a game that I don't actually own anymore. I had to sell it, unfortunately, to pay some bills. But that is Advanced Wars. If you guys never played Advanced Wars, it's a Game Boy Advance game. There's two of them. It's Advanced Wars and Advanced Wars 2. They are RTS games, and they are some of the best RTS games. And we haven't really seen anything of this in quite some time. The series has kind of gone quiet. The series has kind of gone dead. We haven't seen any of it in a long, long time. And I feel like this could be the perfect online RTS game for Nintendo fans because there's already a niche base for it. There's a pretty big fan base for this series, even though it only had those couple of games. There's a pretty big fan base already installed for Advance Wars. It would do great with mobile because it was already a Game Boy Advance game. It's already got mobile fans. It would be great for something on the mobile. You can also play it on the big screen on the Switch. And like I said, online capabilities of an RTS game. It could be a major, major hit. We see things like major RTS games are huge, especially in the Asian market and stuff like that. And I feel like this series could be geared perfectly for an online experience and bringing it with mobile online, having you know the mobile play over the LAN connection, stuff like that would be great. It'd be a great series to bring to the Switch, and I hope that they really consider that and they make a new one. Now, next up is a game that we haven't seen anything for since the GameCube. I believe there was also some Game Boy Advance games, but that is the FZero series. You know, Captain Falcon and crew. Love these games. These games are so good. Even going back to the Super Nintendo days, it was a great game, but this is my all-time favorite. There was the AX and GX on the GameCube, and there's an arcade called AX. That's really cool. Never played the arcade, but I wish we got a new FZero game on the Switch. Again, online multiplayer is something great for this. We've seen how good online multiplayer racing can be in Nintendo with Mario Kart 8. That's awesome. But this is a different kind of game. It's a more skill-based game. You know, it's not randomized with, you know, the luck of the draw, getting mushrooms and all that kind of stuff, which there is skill in Mario Kart, don't get me wrong. But this game is hard. These games are hard. They take extreme coordination on the sticks, and I feel like if they brought it to the Switch, it would be a massive, massive success. Something I would really, really enjoy playing. Like I said, we haven't gotten a home console version of this in I don't know, maybe 8, 9, 10 years. I'm not sure when that GameCube game came out, but I had to have been in like 2005 or so, or earlier. So it's been quite some time. It's been a long, long time since we've seen Captain Falcon and crew, and I think that the Switch would be perfectly suited for another FZero game. Moving on, a great platforming series that got to start on, I believe, the PS1. But one we don't see, and there was a Wii version of it, and there is obviously a Game Boy Advance version of it, and that is Klonoa. It's kind of a niche game. It's kind of a lesser-known platformer, but it is extremely, extremely good. Like, it's one of my favorite platformers ever. Even the Game Boy Advance version, I mean, I can't afford the PS1 version. The PS1 version is like over $100. It's super, super expensive. There is a Wii version of it, but that's also pretty expensive. I don't have that, but I do have a Game Boy Advance version of one of the games, and it's absolutely great. It's one of my favorite games. I always play this in the car when I'm going on road trips. It's one of my favorites, and I feel like if, you know, you think that, you know, Rayman and Mario and Donkey Kong Country, those are your kind of games, and then Klonoa is another one that is right up your alley, and it's got a pretty decent fan base, a cult following, if you will, and I feel like if they were to bring out a Klonoa game for the Switch, it would be something that I personally would snatch up in a heartbeat and play the crap out of. Games are always incredibly well done. You know, great music, great platforming, great puzzling, some of the best, and I wish they would make a Klonoa game for the Switch. Now, we only have a few games left, but, you know, they're still good ones, and that is, of course, another Kirby Air Ride game. Now, we've gotten plenty of Kirby games, don't get me wrong. We got the Rainbow Curse, we got, you know, the Kirby games that are, like, cute in the Rainbow one, and there was one, in, I believe, done in Yarn. There's plenty of Kirby games to go around on the Wii U, but what we haven't had is a game like this. Now, this is my all-time favorite Kirby game, and that's saying something because Return to Dreamland on the Game Boy Advance, and Kirby Dream Land 1, 2, and 3 on the Game Boy, and then 3's on the Super Nintendo are some of my favorites as well, but this game is absolutely amazing. Again, would lend itself so well to an online multiplayer because I can remember playing this with my friends as a kid, and we still play it to this day with 4 players. We get down to the couch, we plop down, all 4 of us grab a GameCube controller, and we play this game. If you guys have never played this game, it's something completely different. It's just like you ride around, you just battle modes, there's race modes, all kinds of great stuff, and it's just really hard to explain fully. It's got so much charm, such a great game. If they were to make a Kirby Air Ride 2 or a Kirby Air Ride Switch, my mind would explode because we have not gotten anything like this in quite some time. Like I said, we've gotten plenty of Kirby platforming games, plenty of Kirby adventure games, but nothing like this. And this is amazing. Pure gold, in my opinion. It's something that we definitely need to see on the Switch. Now, next up is another game that unfortunately I cannot afford to own, but I have played, I've emulated it, and it's great. And that is, of course, Mother 3. Now, if they were to ever localize Mother 3, now is a time to do it. People have been begging for this, begging for this for years to localize Mother 3. And yes, you can buy it on the Game Boy Advance. They're not by Nintendo. They're basically ROM hacks of people have taken their own time to go in and translate all of it, because the game did come out for Game Boy Advance in Japan. It did. But people have gone in and translated all the English, and you can buy the Game Boy Advance cart or the Super Nintendo cart for it. They're not cheap. They're probably usually $30, $40 still, and it's not officially released. It's just, you know, a fan-made project, and that's great. That's great, and that's wonderful. I actually had the Game Boy Advance cartridge of it, and I did give it a play. Unfortunately, I no longer own it. But if they were to do a full-on graphical rehaul and put it on the Switch, and maybe bundle it with Earthbound, which is also Mother 2, and if they were to maybe get all 3 games from the 1, 2, and 3, with Earthbound and all that kind of stuff, and put it into one cartridge or one disc for the Switch, that, like I said, that is just a license to print money. And I know we say this all the time about Nintendo games, like, why don't they do this? Everyone would buy this, and everyone would play this. Why don't they just do it? This is something that I feel like they might be keeping in their back pocket and for a rainy day. And with the failure of the Wii U and, you know, kind of the downward cycle they've been kind of going in since the success of the Wii, this might be the time to pull something out of your back pocket like this and just really explode everyone's expectations. To pull out Mother 1, 2, and 3 localized on the Switch would be amazing. One of the best RPG series of all time. Everyone's talked about it. Everyone knows about it. If you guys don't know about it, then play it. It's great. And I feel like, again, a game that would lend itself perfectly to the Switch, would be great for on the go and for sitting down on the couch. Both of those would be great. It's a game that you could put tons and tons of hours into it, so being able to put it in your pocket and play it on the way to work on the subway or play it in the car would be amazing, and that's something that would be just so amazing. Nintendo, please do that. But our final 2 games here, I'm going to start out with a game that would make sense because it's portable, and it's not Pokemon Sun or Moon. It's Pokemon Stars. Now, it's a game that obviously doesn't exist, and it's something we haven't seen in quite some time, or ever, really. I don't think we've ever seen it. I think the closest we ever got was like the Pokemon Coliseums or Pokemon Gale XD. Those games, which is a totally different style. I want a full-fledged Pokemon adventure on the Switch. And I want it to be Pokemon Stars or Pokemon Z. You know, they used to do this. They used to put out the 2 games, you know, they put out Red and Blue, and then they put out Yellow. They put out, you know, Gold and Silver. Then they put out Crystal. You know, things like that. And it's just basically an updated version of these 2 games. And I think it would be a complete system seller if they were to do that with Pokemon Stars, or whatever they wanted to call it. You know, Sun, Moon, Stars makes the most sense to me. It would be great because, again, it is a mobile system. It is like a 3DS, but I don't know if they want to kill the 3DS off. Like I said, there are, you know, tens and tens of millions of 3DS customers out there. So I don't know if they would want to cut off that player base just yet. But I feel like it'd be a major system seller. And to have a full-fledged Pokemon adventure game on the system, you can play on your TV, pick it up, and go, would be amazing. And that is something that I would love to see. And finally, the game that people have been wanting forever. It felt like we haven't seen it since the N64, obviously. There's only been 1 game in the series, and it's great. And that is Pokemon Snap. Now, this game, I don't know why it didn't come out for the Wii U. I mean, it made perfect sense to use the tablet as your, you know, camera, to point it around, take pictures of the Pokemon. That would have been maybe a saving grace for the Wii U. It might have been a system seller for the Wii U, but they didn't do it. And now is the time to do it. Again, Pokemon Snap, only the game series we've seen in the series. A Pokemon Snap 2. I mean, come on. I mean, they didn't even put all 151 Pokemon in this. I think there's only something like 55, something like that, Pokemon in this. They didn't even do them all. But since then, there has been like a legit 700 new Pokemon. And if we could get even a fraction of that, if we could even get, 200 total, or, 300 total, and they put it into a full-fledged game, and maybe had some kind of online multiplayer content where you put your pictures against others and have leaderboards, or something, just a little bit of online capabilities like that, would be absolutely amazing. Again, with the success of Pokemon Go, they've really been touching on this. They've been able to augment, Pokemon into real world. Have you seen with Pokemon Go? You could pull it up on your phone and, oh, there's a Pikachu, sitting on top of your stairs or something like that. If they could get that to work with the pad for the Switch, and if you're able to go around in the real world and snap pictures of, Pikachu, at Mount Rushmore, or Pikachu, at a Walmart, and then submit that, and like I said, have online leaderboards, and have all this great pictures, and I'm sure people would come up with some of the greatest, coolest Pokemon pictures you could ever imagine. I'm sure it would be amazing. And that is the #1 game that I want on the Switch. I want Pokemon Snap 2, and I want online capabilities, and I want it to have an augmented, reality version for me with the tablet, for when I'm walking around using the tablet, or if I'm just in the house using the tablet, to have the Pikachu on my bedroom floor would be amazing. And that's something that I feel like we've been saying it, and we've been beating this horse to death for years. Ever since the Wii U came out and everyone said that would be a perfect system for it. That's why. But anyway, guys, that's just 10 games that I think would be perfect for the Wii U. Make sure you guys tell me what games you would want to see on the Switch. I said Wii U, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. 10 games you guys want to see on the Switch. Leave them down in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribing for more Nintendo content, along with the other stuff that I do, the video games and the cartoons, the anime, all kinds of that stuff coming your way. Subscribe for that. Hit the little bell button down there to get notifications when I make a new video. Until next time, guys, remember, it's always came my time somewhere. Take it easy, and peace out.